back, baby. It's the Horns Up Talking Texas podcast. Fisher DeSopoulos, DJ Nikki Snacks Kreider. We made it out of the first round, gentlemen, dismantling the Colorado State Rams, the 10 seed. They won the play-in game. Didn't matter. We win as the 7 seed. We go on to face Ricky Barnes after he beat the absolute brakes off of, as Quan would say, St. Peter's 83-49 in a smacking. Rick Barnes, for those who don't remember, I'm sure all of you do, though. He was a coach of Texas for 17 seasons from 97 to 2015. 402 wins, 180 losses, almost as many wins as Brock Cunningham. Shout out to him, Brock Cunningham, becoming the all-time winningest player in Texas basketball history. He won 3 Big 12 regular season titles with us and took the Horns to the NCAA tournament 16 times and a 1 Final Four appearance in 2003. And he thinks he finally has the juice to get it done once again for the first time in 21 years, going back to the Final Four with his Tennessee team. Ziegler, Vescovi, and Dalton Knecht, the best player in the SEC, heading to face our Texas Longhorns at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. Toss, give me the tail of the tape, over, under, spread.
Yeah, according to our partners at betonline.ag, go to betonline, use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, get 50% on your first deposit, which you should have already deposited money into BetOnline. You should already be using BetOnline as they've been a sponsor of ours for quite some time. But if you haven't, go there. The Texas Longhorns are plus 6.5, and the over-under is 146.5 points. So that's where the line is. Obviously, the Vols are favored. They are a 2 seed, so that there's no surprise there. They've been one of the best teams in college basketball, and certainly the best team in my eyes in the SEC. Although Auburn, is really something to be feared as well. Shout out to the Kentucky Wildcats for losing. I'm just giving you a little bit of the SEC overview here because these are the teams that we're going to be playing next year in conference play, of course. But this is what everybody wanted, right? This is what we were talking about on our show with the NCAA March Madness tournament breakdown. We wanted the battle of the UTs, the battle of the Oranges, the revenge tour against Rick Barnes. And this is what we got. And it's a hefty matchup to, superstars in the eyes of all college sports fans. And we've got our work cut out for us. Certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe if we play the way we did on Thursday night against Colorado State, we are going to get piped.
Yeah, I mean, our offense looked very lackluster in that game. Luckily, our defense came to play, but I think a lot of that also had to do with the fact that Colorado State just could not make a bucket to save their lives, except for maybe the first 5 minutes of the game. And then, of course, we go on that massive run and have a blowout of our first half. But if we're playing any other team, this game is a lot different because, we didn't even score 60 points. It's been a pretty low-scoring tournament, honestly, in my opinion, just by and large. I mean, sure, there's some outlier games, but I think for the most part, these unders are hitting. But, yeah, I mean, that's been the biggest issue for us all season long is offensive consistency. And so we really need to get more out of Abe Smith and Hunter and Dessou. I think Dessou had, probably a average game, maybe a little below average. He started off really slow, but that's the guy you really need to get rolling in order to make a run in this tournament. And you can't have a slow start out of him against this Tennessee team. You need him firing right out of the gate.
Yeah, A. Smith, Dessou, Hunter, all combined, 1 of 14 from 3, which is gonna shoot you out of the building and not in a good way. Shoot you to the bus. Right on the way home. You can't have that. I mean, Dessou, he was fine, I guess, to finish, but by and large, to me, he was really disappointing. Asmus is like 2 of 8. He's either 2 of 8 or he's 8 of 10. And you know what? This is a team that we're about to see on Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific that's going to make you pay. So is it Pacific or was it earlier?
Pacific. Yep. So Central Time, 7, 8 Eastern.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this game that we could look at against Colorado State was a lifeline. Like almost like a mulligan, So really got to bring it against Tennessee. I'm honestly surprised that we're not a bigger underdog in this game.
Yes, me too, which is what scares me.
I will say I do hopefully Dylan Dessou got his worst game of the tournament out of him, right? Again, like you guys both mentioned it. He ended up with a decent with decent numbers in the box score, and he scored late, and we needed him to score late because they were knocking on the door a little bit. They did close the gap. They beat us in the second half, 33-29. But he has to be hot and early. He has to start strong. He needs to attack the basket. He needs to get into that face-up game from the mid-range. He does not need to be settling for threes, especially against a team where our one advantage could be if we have Shedrick out there, Dessou out there, and Dylan Mitchell, and we try and kind of outbig them, rebound, control the boards. Our guards are going to be undersized in this game, and they're going to be outmatched. That's just straight up. Like Ziegler is small too, but one of our guards, Hunter or Asmus, is going to be guarded by Dalton Connect, and he's going to have a massive advantage. He's 6'4". It's not a fair fight. Asmus is going to have a hard time shooting over Connect if Connect is guarding him. Look, one of the outstanding performances in the game against Colorado State, which there were few for the Horns, but granted we did get the win and that's all we needed to do, was Shendall Weaver. He was fantastic. He really stepped up in that game. We're going to need his defense and his energy against Tennessee because the rest of the guys weren't bringing it and he was willing to. And same with Brock, and Mitchell. I thought Mitchell should have played more in that game, honestly.
Me too.
And Shedrick did too. I mean, the great thing that we were doing is we have that pick and roll, and our guys know how to roll to the hoop, and they know how to be available to our guards when they're driving, and we finish well at the rim. So that's one thing that will be tougher, right, against a Tennessee team that is bigger than Colorado State. But I still think we can be effective in the paint. And we don't live and die by the three ball, and so we shouldn't fall into that trap, which certain teams can. Like if they start scoring early, we don't need to press, and we don't need to think that like we have to hit 10 of 22 from behind the line or something like that. Like that's not our identity. That's not what we're great at. So let's not fall prey to that.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see us implement a system that we did in our fraternity basketball league where we shout out Garrett St. Louis, who is just simply a maniac, a friend of ours. And we would throw him at the best player and just be like, play defense. I would love to see Brock Cunningham thrown at Dalton Connect and be like, dude, just make this guy's life a living hell. If you get kicked out of the game, we'll cheer you. We'll cheer you on, just make his life a living hell as much as you possibly can. And then just switch Weaver onto him, throw Mitchell onto him, honestly, who should play a lot. He's long, he's athletic, he's good defensively, and just continuously rotate those guys and throw them at them and really do what your best, not to take him out of the game, because I feel like that's going to be extremely tough because you can't really do that, but to slow him down. And make him as minimal as a factor as you can make him. And that's going to be our best shot.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, gentlemen? Any other March Madness thoughts in general?
Yeah, shout out to our women as we're recording this right now. They're winning 11-2, and the game just tipped. But, by the time you see this, I'm sure they'll have a dub over Drexel.
Nice. Great season out of them. Any other shout-outs? College hoops?
No other shout outs, just one other note for us.
Shout out Bijan, sorry.
Yeah, shout out Bijan Robinson for having a perfect bracket up to the point of us recording, and hopefully he takes it all the way because he has the Horns winning the whole damn thing. So that would be awesome. That would mean that in 24 hours we're looking at a Horns dub over, I guess more than 24 hours at this point, but over the Tennessee Volunteers. We did take care of the ball decently well. We only had 12 turnovers, and they turned the ball over a lot. Colorado State did 19 times. Common thread in all of these games where teams lose. Guess what? If you go look at the turnovers, a lot of times they've given up the ball 15 plus times, even if they're the better team. And we can get sloppy because our guards are smaller on the outside of the arc when we're running our pick and roll action and dribble handoff action. So just be tight with the ball. Don't turn it over. And play big. I mean, if we have that Mitchell, Shedrick, Dessou lineup out there, like I'm talking about, and they have their starting five, Josiah Jordan-James is 6'6", and Jonas Adu is 6'11", but the rest of the guys are 6'4", 6'3", and Ziegler's like 5'9". So we really can win at that wing position with Mitchell and his size and his leaping ability. And so I think, again, I already mentioned it, but the rebounding and the finishing at the rim, getting to the foul line, and then converting at the charity stripe. It was the former name of our show, Stripe Sports. Like, the one thing about March Madness that's crazy, it's like if a team is down, if a team is up by 1 point with 30 seconds left and they go to the line, the guy's never hitting 2 free throws. They just can't do it in college. They're just not
Insane.
at that same level as the NBA guys. And if we can convert it an 80% clip from the charity stripe in our game, and we get to the line 15 plus times, like that bodes really, really well. Because I think the Volunteers, when you're looking at that over under, it's 145.5, like they're going to do their work offensively against us. And we have to be able to match in a certain capacity. Like if we score 50 points in this game, we're not winning. It just won't happen.
No, we're going to get smoked.
Yeah.
They're going to score 80. We'll get killed out there. I'm wholeheartedly with you. I mean, you got to hit from the line. Although, unless you're Oakland, who took down Kentucky, were pitiful from the line, and they just had a guy with a hose. Like that guy Golke just had a hose. That was like a thing. One March Madness thing we were discussing yesterday. Toss and I, Nick. There were certain factors. Like everyone's like, oh, like if they're in the top 12 of week 6 poll or whatever, and they're in the week 6 poll or the week 12 poll, they're top 25 in efficiency. All these stats being thrown at us. You know what no one told us really? LeBron James' high school coach and all his high school boys are the coaching staff for Duquesne. If that was like, and on top of that, BYU can't play on Sunday. So they elected, instead of being a 5 seed, to be a 6 seed. So they would have been a 5 seed. They went to be a 6 seed against LeBron James' high school coach in LeBron James' high school coach's last season coaching. I would have literally bet my life on Duquesne if we knew that storyline. There was no way that team was losing. And by the way, their first tournament's in 77. Like, just the cherry on top. There needs to be less stats. I know. There needs to be less stats and more storylines. If we knew that the head coach of Oakland, which by the way is not Oakland, California, is Oakland, Michigan, kind of wild. If we knew the head coach was the head coach there for 40 years, and if we knew that guy Golke off the bench legitimately, it's not like, oh, he's a 3-point shooter. He like won't shoot a 2.
He's only hit 8 2-pointers the entire season.
Where was that thrown
crap,
out?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you have picked Kentucky or Oakland?
What's his points per game?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up.
I'll
but he
tell
was
you
10
right
for
now.
20 in that game, and it was all 3-point attempts, which is hilarious. Which to me is like, did Kentucky – look, I understand it's hard. When you're a really good team and you think you can actually win, you can get to the Final Four and win the NCAA championship, getting up for a game in the first round, like it's easy to overlook your opponent. But any sort of scouting would have told you that, like, do not let that guy fire from distance. Run him off the 3-point line. Do whatever it takes. As long as he's not shooting threes, the guy's not a threat whatsoever. And they let him shoot 23s. That's a young team. And that's why Kentucky lost, because what isn't talked about enough is the veteran presence. And that's another thing that scares me about this Tennessee team. Not only do they have talent, but they also have veteran presence and obviously a coach who's been there and done it and been there for a long time and working with these guys for a long time. But I feel hopeful. I mean, I feel like I don't know if we're going to win this game, but I liked how we competed yesterday, and I like that we won our first game. Like we didn't crumble, and that says a lot about RT and his squad.
RT in March, baby. Fuck it. I'm down for him to like make it a roller coaster every year and then go on a run. I mean, if he takes down Rick Barnes, it'd be so classic for Rick Barnes to choke. Honestly, that'd be awesome to watch. I mean, Shock is already, as we're recording, on the ropes right now against the Hilltoppers. But yeah, I mean, it's just good basketball analysis in the Kentucky part, being too young and the scouting. I mean, to answer your question, he averaged 13 a game on 3.7 threes per game made and 9.9 threes attempted. So he tripled his output from 3 and shot better than he typically shoots.
That's like basketball 101 when you're in like late middle school, early high school. You go into an opposing gym, and the only thing that like coaches ever yell from the sideline is like, he's a shooter, be careful, he's a shooter. And like clearly they just didn't even do that.
Yeah, I mean, the guy literally, and the best part was this quote. You guys saw his quote after the game, right? He's they have, that was great, but he's like, look, they have guys in their team going to the NBA. I know I'm not going to the NBA. This guy is lawless, dude. This guy does not good.
Hey, I'm holding out hope for him, man. He kind of looks like Chris Humphries. Like, I think that if he goes to the G League, Sam Merrill, the guy that plays on the Cavs, didn't make it to the NBA until he was like 27. And now he's lighting it up, and he's an important player for that team. Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, like if you're a good enough shooter, you can kind of find a spot on an NBA roster, maybe. But he's right. Like, that's the craziest thing about March Madness. You watch a game like, I don't know, certain teams it's a 3 versus 14. And when they
we were going.
He was on a roll.
He was on a roll.
What happened?
It almost feels like it's not a fair fight at certain points, right? And that's why it's so miraculous when these teams do upset the other team. It's because, like, it shouldn't happen. But you're more prepared. You're more prepared. You execute. You don't turn the ball over. You hit threes, and then all of a sudden, like, and you have absolutely.
I'm gonna lose. Like, they have nothing to lose. These guys. This guy's like, bro. He's like, he basically, in less words, was like, yo, I'm selling cars in 2 years, bro. I don't give a fugaze. I'm just gonna rip 23s and see what happens. And his coach was like, yeah, he's the best shooter on the court.
Damn right.
And he damn was. It's cool. I mean, that's the beauty of the tournament, man. And it's hopefully we have veteran guys though. Like, the thing is, we're talking about a guy that made a run. Bring it back to our team. Who on our team has made a run before, other than like the guys that were here last year? Max Asmus for Oral Roberts. So he's been a Cinderella before. He's taken like a 15 seed to the Sweet 16. So this is a guy that has turned up in March Madness against big number 2 seeds. So he took down Ohio State. Toss, was that it?
I think so.
Washington?
Yeah.
During Washington.
Yep. Yeah. Not to mention Caden Shedrick, who, like, shout out to him for making the right move transferring away from Virginia, because clearly that team was not good. You want to talk about teams that can't score? That team has no offense. And Tony Bennett didn't make the final 64, which is crazy.
Yeah, wild. He may want to. That's crazy. He may want to hang it up. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next time. Fisher Chop with DJ Nicky Snacks Crider. Hook 'em horns. Good luck.